Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started today. So hello and welcome everyone. My name is Sherry Mathis and I'm with the ALS Association. Thank you for joining us for this installment of Empowering Your ALS Journey webinar series. So the goal of our series is to empower you to live fully and with purpose, regardless of where you are in your ALS journey. The title of today's webinar is Yoga Therapy and Mindfulness Practices that Support Living More Fully with ALS. So there's a few things I want you to know before we begin the presentation today. First off, please know that you are muted and not on camera, so you can relax and just enjoy the presentation. There will be a time at the end of the webinar to answer questions. You should see a chat box feature on the screen, as well as a question and answer feature. You can use either of these options to submit the questions that you may have, and those are only viewable by the host and our speaker today. And we'll review and answer these questions with our speaker at the end of the webinar. Please keep in mind that our speaker today cannot provide opinions or advice on your personal experiences, and questions to be more general in nature. We do have a very short survey that we ask everyone to complete after the webinar. The survey will appear in your browser after the webinar ends, and this survey helps us to know your thoughts, both on this presentation and on other topics that you would like us to consider in the future. Lastly, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on our Empowering Your ALS Journey webinar page within about a week. This is also where you can view the recordings of our other previous webinars. So joining us today is Tina Langdok. Tina is an internationally recognized and accredited mindfulness teacher and professional yoga therapist. And she's based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tina has been practicing yoga and meditation for over 45 years. Through study and exploration in various cultures, Tina has become an expert in healing potential and tuning into our minds and bodies with kindness, curiosity, and compassion. Tina's work includes both in-person and Zoom options. Sessions with Tina combine mindfulness and yoga for a wide variety of clients' needs and diagnosis, including ALS, MS, Parkinson's disease, cancer, depression, cardiovascular disease, and anxiety. Tina's work with Dr. Scott Steiber, incorporating yoga and mindfulness into his experience with ALS, is featured in a 12-minute film called Pizza and Prana. And the link to that film is available in the PDF of the PowerPoint presentation and the slides that will be available after this session on our website. Tina is also co-developing a clinical protocol with the Mindful Institute in London to study the impact of yoga and mindfulness on ALS treatment. The international study will soon launch in both the US and the UK. So thank you, Tina, for taking the time to be with us here today. I'm going to hand it over to you, and I will be back to help with the questions and answers afterwards.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. All right, well, I want to welcome everyone to this seminar. I'm going to go to my first slide. Here we go. All right, so I'm really grateful and inspired to be sharing these practices with you today. How yoga and mindfulness can create new doorways and improve quality of life with ALS. Here you see me with Dr. Scott Steiber. Dr. Scott Steiber and I, well, we kind of met in 2018. I actually met him in 1975. He is the brother-in-law of my best friend from college. And in 2018, I heard that Scott had been diagnosed with ALS in 2011. And in 2018, he had started doing some yoga and mindfulness, and he was starting to notice some interesting changes in his mood, in his connection to his body, in his experience with ALS, but he wasn't sure what was happening. And so my friend suggested that we connect, which we did over FaceTime. And a short time later, I bought a plane ticket and found myself in Pennsylvania working with Scott at his home. And as soon as we started working together, I knew that he was working in the kosha, or the layer of the body that the yogis call prana. And so we started talking about this energy body, prana, breath, life force, energy, and awareness. And I started narrating Scott's practice, and the more we worked together, the more we found that there were many, many different ways that he could access prana to support him and support his life with ALS. And so in 2020, Duncan Entertainment made a 12-minute film called Pizza and Prana about our work together. And again, you can see the link here to view the film after the presentation. The film begins with this wonderful quote from William Broad. It's from the book called The Science of Yoga. Prove what you can and be open to the rest. And I'd really love it if you would adopt this as your intention for the next hour as we work together and learn more about what I like to call the prana portal. So you're probably asking yourselves, what is prana? So prana is a Sanskrit word, and prana means, prana is a way of tuning into ourselves in a new way. It's a way of connecting with the present moment by feeling into the life force that animates our being. So the only way we can know prana is in the present moment. We can't know the prana from the past or in the future, but only the prana that's here right now. And so we know it as vibratory sensations, things we can feel, okay? So some examples of how we might feel prana are heat, tingliness, coolness, stretching, movement, heaviness, lightness, brightness, dullness, itchiness, sharpness, softness. And you'll have the opportunity to feel prana in some of these presentations of prana throughout our seminar today. In the yoga therapy model of wellness, we have actually 5 doorways to healing. And so these 5 doorways, I like to use my hand to represent these 5 different doorways. This is a very holistic model that includes body, mind, and spirit. The first doorway is the physical body. These are the cells, the tissues, the systems of the body. The second doorway is the energy body, and this is where prana lives. And again, English words that might describe prana are breath, energy, life force, and awareness. We'll look at each of those descriptions today. The third doorway is the psycho-emotional body. These are thoughts and feelings that arise and fall away in the present moment. We might call them mind chatter, or emotions that we feel in our body. The fourth doorway I like to call the wisdom and cultural body. These are limiting and usually false beliefs that come from our family, our culture, and our life experience. These limiting beliefs often sound like enough, not enough, always, everybody, nobody. They have those great big overgeneralizations as part of their belief system that, again, isn't true. The fifth doorway is where we all wish we could live all the time, the bliss body. And this is when we feel like we're in the oneness and the flow of life, when we feel connected to something bigger than our own personal experience. For some people, this is faith. For others, they feel it in nature, or we might feel it when we're meditating, or even in a creative flow. But today we're really going to talk a lot about this doorway of prana. And the body, it consists of both the physical cells and tissues and the energy body, and they're completely connected. It's a matrix of energy that supports the physical body. All right, so let's look a little bit deeper into this prana portal. So the whole theory in the yoga therapy model is that when one kosha shuts down due to imbalance or dysfunction, the portals of the other koshas open wider. And so intention, openness, and willingness are the keys. Dr. Scott Stieber believes that ALS set him up perfectly for entering into this energy body. So as his physical body started to shut down, when the motor neurons started to not be functioning correctly, the energy body said, hey, I'm available. You can use my doorway to come in. So as the physical body was affected by ALS, the energy doorway was still open. So to review, prana is the energy matrix that supports the physical body. And the only way to know prana is to experience it. We could talk about it all day, but until you experience it, you won't know it. Again, prana is awareness, breath, life force, and energy. So let's practice. The practice that we're going to start with, I call a prana scan. So I want you to come into a comfortable position. It doesn't matter if you're seated or lying down, however you feel comfortable, and able to participate in this short prana scan. And we're going to place our hands with the palms up. They could be on the sides of our chair. They could be in our lap. They could be in the air. I want you to take a moment just to connect with your hands and notice what you feel. Can you notice these vibratory sensations? Maybe you feel heaviness or lightness, a warmth or a coolness, a tingliness, a sense of vitality in the hands. And if I asked you to tune into your right hand, you might notice that your gaze goes over towards the right hand, but you also might feel that right hand is a little bit more tingly, a little bit more bright, a little bit more of the heaviness or the lightness or the warmth in that right hand. Okay, so noticing that. And if I asked you to tune into your right hand thumb, it might light up, become a little bit brighter. And then we could broaden our awareness back to both hands again and notice, oh, now I can feel my left hand and my right hand, both tingly, both held in my awareness. And if I asked you to feel the back of your left hand, you can't see it, but you can kind of feel it. Maybe you can see it in your mind's eye. Maybe you can kind of feel the air behind it. We're connecting to prana. So now I'm going to ask you to either close your eyes or look down, whatever feels comfortable for you. And notice, can you still feel your hands? Feeling into both hands, maybe we can feel the shape of the hands, the energy, the vitality, the tingliness, sweatiness. And if I asked you to tune into your right hand, you might notice your right hand kind of lights up. The prana in that hand gets a little bit brighter, a little tinglier. Right hand thumb, and then broadening back to feel both hands together. And then as we feel comfortable, just what would it be like to turn our hands down and let them rest, either on the sides of our chair, in our lap, and just maybe even moving the hands back and forth, aware of feeling those hands moving. You can feel the connection between the hands and thighs, and then how they drape, the shape of the hands, feeling into the thumbs, the index fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers, little fingers. And then moving our awareness all the way down into the feet. And we might feel, oh, I feel the softness of my socks, those vibratory or felt sensations of prana, maybe the hardness of the earth, the stillness or wiggliness of the toes, tension or ease. And we might notice what it would be like to just rock the feet a little bit back and forth, maybe up on the toes and back on the heels. What do we notice as we tune in to the feeling of moving our feet? Can we notice how pressure and sensations change? And then we might move awareness to our pelvis, resting in the chair or whatever position we're in. And we might find we can feel kind of a hardness in the chair, a groundedness, maybe the softness of a blanket. And maybe even feel if we shift a little bit from side to side, we can feel that movement side to side, connecting to the feeling of moving through connecting to prana, this energy doorway. Good. And then I'm going to invite you to, if it feels comfortable, bring a hand to your belly. Okay, so down below the navel. And just notice if we can feel some breath here, maybe breathing in, feeling the belly rise, and as the breath flows out, feeling the belly soften. Prana rising and falling, filling and emptying from inside our body, but we feel the movement on the outside, so just noticing that. And we'll be working with some breath practices, remembering that breath is prana. And I'm going to invite you to bring your breath into balance. So breathing out and then breathing in balance, but letting the out breath set the cadence. So feeling the breath being pushed out and then flowing in. And bringing that sense of balance to the breath, we might notice changes in our mind, changes in our heart, maybe even changes in our body. So feeling into this even breathing practice and just noticing what's here for me now. And then bringing our hand perhaps back to the right side. And let's just end with a couple of shoulder rolls. And prana isn't limited by our physical body. So if the shoulder rolls aren't feeling available in our physical body, noticing if maybe we could visualize and feel, imagine our shoulders rolling. I sometimes call this rowing. So like we're rowing backwards in a boat. And noticing what it's like to feel those shoulders rolling. So it's less about doing, more about sensing, feeling, being with through this prana portal. So just two more shoulder rolls, however the shoulders are rolling for us today. And then just taking a moment to notice how we feel here at the end of this prana scan. What did we notice? Maybe what was surprising? What was interesting? What were we open to and what did we learn? Beginner's mind and curiosity, great attitudes to bring to our practice today. New way of being in the body, new way of being in the mind and heart through this prana portal. Okay? So there are those 5 koshas: physical body, energy body, psycho-emotional body, the wisdom body, those limiting beliefs that aren't true, that, you know, try to guide us through our day in challenging ways, and the bliss body. So remember, we're coming through the energy body, and the energy body and the physical body are together, but they can affect all these other koshas or doorways. All right? Good. Okay, I'm going to put my PowerPoint back up. All right. So let's learn some more about prana. So prana is awareness, one of those 4 things that prana is. So prana is presence. Again, we can only know it in the now. It's the ability to rest the mind in different areas of the body, just like we did in our prana scan. Feeling the hands, feeling the feet, feeling the belly, feeling the movement. Okay, that's called proprioception. It's one of our super senses. It's one of our, we have many more than 5 senses. They think we might have as many as 29. And proprioception is one of our super senses, ability to rest the mind in different areas of the body. Ability to move awareness around the body and through the inner body, feeling the movement of the breath, broadening and narrowing awareness. Ability to feel the body moving. It's called kinesthesia, another super sense. And that feeling of the body moving, rocking side to side, right and left, filling and emptying with breath. Connecting to vibrations. That's what prana is. And so it's less about doing and more about sensing, feeling, and being with. Prana is also breath. And so we explored a little bit of the breath techniques that I often share with my clients. We do a lot of belly breathing. We initiate the breath from deep in the belly. And so breath practices in yoga are called pranayama because they move our prana. They're patterns of breathing. And we've got some specific breath patterns that I practice with my clients with ALS. It will expand where we breathe and how we breathe. It's the ability to feel, visualize, and move the breath around. And we focus down in this belly area, the core, down below the navel, away from any bulbar challenges. And a lot of my clients have found that to be very supportive. When we breathe from our belly, we also initiate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest part of your nervous system. So it's more calming than breathing into this upper chest area. And with my ALS clients, the emphasis is always on exhalation, which for many clients is more available than the inhalation. So again, less about doing, more about sensing, feeling, and visualizing. Some of the breath practices that I include, I made a list here, and they're actually in the ALS Association's recommendations. They call them no-tech strategies because you don't need any mechanical equipment. They're already here online. One is pursed lips breathing, just like this woman is doing. It's breathing in through the nose and then blowing the breath out through circled lips. The next is sigh breathing, breathing in through the nose, opening the mouth with a gentle sigh. And sometimes my clients will even practice lion's breath, which is a type of yoga breathing where we breathe in through the nose. And then when we breathe out, we stick out the tongue and make a sound. My grandkids like doing this one with me. Ah. So it's this, for a lot of clients, it's a great way to get rid of excessive tension in the mouth and get some sound out. We'll do a little bit of that breathing in our second practice. Even breathing, we did this in the prana scan, breathing out and in balance, all initiated from deep below the belly. And then stacked or step breathing. This one's a really common breath technique that my clients really like a lot. We breathe out, and then we breathe out again, and then we breathe out a little bit more, and then we let the inhalation come in passively. Then we begin again, breathing out, out, all initiated from the core, out, and then in. And we have found anecdotally that this type of breathing helps maintain CO2 levels longer, meaning that my clients have to use breathing assistance less often. The last breath here is called Kapalabhati, and when you watch Pizza and Prana, you'll see Dr. Scott doing this. It's a forceful breath out through the nose, a passive in-breath through the belly. It took him a while to learn this one, but it's super cleansing and detoxing. And I usually introduce this breath, more like session 6 or 7 with my clients after they're feeling more comfortable with the belly breathing. But it's really effective at cleansing, creating space in the mind, and again, expelling CO2. Prana is also life force energy that animates our physical body, our psycho-emotional body, and our spirit. So again, we can come in this doorway, in fact, the other doorways. Prana is vitality, heat, and energization, energy, vibration. And recent theory suggests that prana moves through our fascia. We know now that fascia is really an organ that goes through all of the body and actually kind of interrelates and integrates the body. And so some anatomists think that prana or energy, or what the Chinese would call qi, moves through the fascia, which would substantiate the importance of interconnection to the physical body and overall wellness. So prana offers ALS clients, and all my clients actually, a new doorway to the physical body. Let's go in this doorway. Scott really believes that this doorway opens wider as this doorway starts to close. And how do we get there? Felt sensations, visualization, and awareness. Prana work can also be supportive emotionally and spiritually, connecting us with something bigger than our physical body, helping reduce stress. These are my clients. This is my client Ward and his wife Paula. Ward was no stranger to energy. He was a surf instructor at UC Santa Cruz, probably the best job I can think of. And he really took quickly to the prana work. We worked on Zoom together. And often Paula would join in on our sessions. As a caregiver, she found that she was pretty stressed out and that by practicing with Ward, the three of us together on Zoom, it actually helped her to reduce her stress too. And she wrote this testimonial about our work together. My husband began working with Tina soon after his diagnosis of bulbar onset. Tina's work with him became very important, inspiring him to practice daily with the recordings they made together on Zoom. The prana work not only helped him to maintain movement, it also lifted him emotionally. So the ancient texts of yoga, which were written over 2,000 years ago, recognized prana as the primary, like the most important kosha. And they believe that prana is intelligence. So, Scott would often talk about letting prana lead. When we tune into the feeling of prana, we're organizing the sensations of awareness throughout the body into recognizable patterns of feeling and vibration. And we learn from that. So the more we practice, the deeper our connection to prana will become. Okay, the more we'll be able to feel and connect to prana through practice and in our daily lives. Connecting with prana frees restrictions in the body and the mind, supporting healing and balance at all levels of being. So prana and awareness is also mindfulness. The awareness aspect of prana is also related to the practice of mindfulness, another vehicle for exploring prana. So mindfulness is the state of active, open attention in the present. I like the definition. It's paying attention on purpose in the present moment with care and kindness. And so it's something we do intentionally, just like connecting to prana is intentional, so is mindfulness. Mindfulness is really the ability to observe our thoughts, emotions, and body sensations as they unfold. It's being with what we're doing while we're doing it, or non-judgmental awareness of awareness. So we're going to do a really quick little mindful activity. And I'm going to ask that you either, if you have paper and pen close by and this is available for you, you can write down or just say silently to yourself your name, your full name, your address, and your phone number. Information we all know easily and readily, right? Name, address, phone number. Okay? You probably could do that without really thinking about it, right? So now let's flip the switch and bring mindfulness to this activity. I'm going to ask you to become aware of how you're sitting in the chair, tuning into the body. Maybe notice thoughts moving through the mind. Maybe noticing how we're feeling. Maybe we're feeling calm. Maybe we're feeling kind of curious. Noticing that. Maybe we're feeling connected to the present moment. And then I'm going to ask you now to say silently to yourself or to write down your name, your address, and your phone number. So how is the second time any different than the first? What did you notice? What we were practicing the second time through, instead of just going through Tina Langdok, 2723 North Farwell, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53211, right? The second time, we were aware of what we were doing while we were doing it. Tina Langdok. I could feel myself say it to myself. I could hear in my mind's eye and my mind's ears the numbers as I went through my address and my phone number. And when I finished, I personally felt a little bit more calm, a little bit more connected to my name, address, and phone number because I had been present in the process. That's mindfulness. And so, throughout our day, we do a lot of things on autopilot, which was probably the first way that we went through that activity. And mindful awareness is a different part of our brain. So let's look at what happens when we're mindful. So autopilot is the ability to do repetitive everyday tasks without thinking about them. And as far as we know, humans are the only beings that have autopilot. Where are we when we're on autopilot? We're usually somewhere else. We're disconnected from the present moment, usually in the past, thinking about how we did something in the past or in the future when we're already done with our activity. Dr. Scott and the clients that I've worked with have shared with me that ALS makes autopilot less available, that being mindful allows them to access this prana portal, and being present with what they're doing while they're doing it makes movement, makes daily activities, makes life in general more available. What happens in the brain when we're mindful? When we're mindful, we engage a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. So the cortex is the outer part of the brain, and the prefrontal cortex is right here in the front. It's the most advanced part of our brain, and we have a right and a left prefrontal cortex. I like to think of the prefrontal cortex as the director of the brain. It's a big thinker, good at solving problems. It's good at regulating emotions and expressing our personality. Okay? And it's really in line with our hopes and dreams and values. All right? So it keeps us present when we feel our body, when we notice what we're doing while we're doing it with this non-judgmental kind awareness. Our prefrontal cortex is online and we're more present. We're connected through that prana portal. So mindfulness and connecting with prana through that mindful door of the prefrontal cortex is the antidote to living our lives on autopilot. So it's a little oversimplification, but autopilot is prefrontal cortex off. Mindfulness is prefrontal cortex on. You could feel the difference between those two activities. When we're on autopilot, we're losing our moments. When we're mindful, we're coming to our senses. We're feeling these vibratory sensations. We're seeing, we're hearing. We're here now. Autopilot is more about doing and thinking, where mindful awareness with the prefrontal cortex on is being, sensing, and feeling. Autopilot, we're usually somewhere else. Mindful awareness present in the now. So the power of mindfulness and the power of prana is cultivating a sense of curiosity and presence about what we're doing while we're doing it. So remember, prana only occurs in the present, but the mind can wander back to the past or forward to the future. It might be worrying about a future that may or may not happen or thinking about how things were in the past, but prana's here now. It's with us now. We can connect with it at any moment and we're immediately in the present. It brings us back to the now. This is really the moment that we can participate in, live in, and experience in body, mind, and heart. So it trains us to be present and steady, increasing our connection and focus, coming through the mindfulness doorway, through this prana portal into the now, so we can be here, be present with ourselves as life unfolds. Flexing our muscle attention. So we might notice, I'm back in the past. Oh, where's that prana portal? Oh, I can feel my feet. I can feel, my hand on my heart. I can feel my breath in my belly. I can feel my hands moving. Prefrontal cortex on, back in the now, prana portal open. Presence and focus in the now. So the more we do this, the more we practice, the easier it is to engage and activate that prefrontal cortex and connect to prana. So let's move into our second practice. Okay, so we're going to start with some shoulder rolls. And I want to really stress that when I work with my clients, we work within where they're at. And so I want you to do that for yourself. Since we haven't worked together before. And so if a movement isn't available, remember your prana portal is still available. So as we start with our shoulder rolls, if this doesn't feel available, move your energy body, visualize that movement. There's a lot of good research on the power of visualization. And I want also to really encourage people to feel comfortable and present with themselves as we move through these mindful movements of yoga. So we'll start with our shoulder rolls. And a lot of times I'll cue my clients, that's like we're rowing backwards, so we know which way to row. And it's very important that movement is comfortable and available. So notice what feels comfortable and available for you as you connect with the vibrations of prana rolling the shoulders. Good. And then coming back to a mindful position and noticing how we feel now. We might feel a little different. Maybe we can feel the tingles of prana. Perhaps we notice more balance. Maybe we're just a little bit more present with what we're doing while we're doing it. And I'm going to mirror you. So I'd like you, the next movement is called bird wing shoulders. They all have silly names so we can remember how to do them. So right hand to right shoulder, we're going to circle our elbow back. And again, we're feeling the movement, not doing, but sensing, feeling, being with, visualizing. And if it's more available for us to have our hand down lower, that's what we do. So again, important that these movements feel available and comfortable, and visualization is also a wonderful opportunity. So a couple more of the bird wing shoulders on the right, just feeling the feeling of moving while we're moving. Good. And then we're going to take that right hand down. I want you to feel the tingles of prana that you just awakened on that right side. You might feel tingles up in the neck, along the collarbone, down into the rib cage, down the arm. Feel those tingles of prana. Maybe we can feel the whole right side of the body, almost like you can feel into the right side of the room. And then shift over and feel over to the left. It might feel quieter over there. Maybe the prana is not quite so awakened, so let's go wake it up. Hand to shoulder or wherever it's comfortable, circling the elbow back. Aware of what we're doing while we're doing it. Two more, feeling our way around. Good, and then taking that left hand down. Now notice the prana on that left side. Feel those tingles. We might even be aware of more of the left side of the room, left side of the body. That ability to focus awareness over on the left. And then noticing what it's like to feel both sides together, both elbows, both shoulder blades, both collarbones, both sits bones, both feet. Good. From here, we're going to move into what I call swimming shoulders. I'm just going to move my camera down a little bit. I'm going to slide our hands forward and back, and we'll be able to feel the hands sliding. It's a gentle twist. As we slide the right hand forward, we look over the right. As we slide the left hand forward, we look over the left. And again, we just notice what's available and visualize movement, present with what we're doing while we're doing it, feeling, sensing, being with. Good. And then we'll come back to stillness. How do we feel now? What do we notice in our mindful position? How do those vibratory sensations, those feelings of prana, what do we notice? And how do we feel? Body, mind, and heart. The next movement, we're going to move into the lower body. And so we're going to lift up our right knee and we're going to circle our foot. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. And again, visualizing, maybe we've got our heel on the ground and we're circling our toes. So wherever that movement feels available. And then circling the other way. So any kind of movement in the foot, even visualizing the foot moving, getting our prana down into that foot, moving the prana back and forth. And then if it's available, we're going to go into figure 4 and take our lower right leg to our left knee. Our right hand will be on our right knee, and our left hand will be on our sternum, right at our heart. We're going to lift up our sternum and lower, and lift and lower, moving as we feel into our body. Good. And then we're going to lift that sternum a little bit, opening up that right hip. We're going to take a breath in through our nose, and we're going to sigh. Another breath in through our nose. One more time, and maybe a lion's breath. Good. And then we're going to mindfully bring that right leg back down, feeling what we're doing while we're doing it. And then notice, how does that right side feel? Good. And then we'll move over to the left. Perhaps we just lift the toes and move the circle, the foot in a circle. Maybe we lift up our knee. We might be making a different pattern, just half moon, figure 8, whatever feels available. And then bringing that left lower leg to the right knee for figure 4, left hand on our thigh or knee, and then lifting and lowering the sternum. We call this cat-cow. So we're actually feeling how the spine and the hip work together. You can feel the difference between lifting and lowering. Good, and then we'll lift that sternum up, breathe in through our nose. Good. And then mindfully bringing that left leg back down. We're going to notice how that left side feels. And then feel both sides together. Good. And then I'm going to encourage you to get into a comfortable position. A lot of times my clients feel more comfortable kind of laying back, and bringing the breath down into the belly might be helpful to bring the hands there. And start that even breathing again. We explored this in our first prana scan. Breathing out and then breathing in balance. And then breathing out again in balance. Let each breath be unique, like snowflakes and fingerprints. Yeah, just feeling, what's it like to breathe evenly from deep in the belly? And then if it feels available, we're going to try some of that step breathing. We're going to let the breath flow in, and then we're going to breathe out from the belly, breathe out, and then breathe in one smooth movement. Just 2 steps to start with. Breathe out, out, in. Find your own cadence. Out, out, passive in breath. We might even get a third little piece, breathing out, 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 in. Let's do 3 more. Out, 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 in. Find your own cadence on these last 2. And when you finish with that last round, again, I encourage you to just feel the body. Feel into the mind and heart, entering through this prana portal, this doorway of the energy body. What did you notice? How do we feel? What does it feel like to be aware of what we're doing while we're doing it, to bring this mindful awareness to some of these movements and activities? And what would that be like? What did it feel like today? I'm going to end this short practice with a Yoga Nidra practice. This is a deep relaxation practice of connecting to prana and letting go. This is a favorite of most of my clients. We end each session with this practice. So I'm going to guide you through, and I'll be moving you through the body. We'll move through the right side, then through the left side. We'll start at the feet, we'll move up the back, and then we'll come back down the front. So just follow my instructions, connecting to these vibrations and sensations of prana, and then letting go and moving on. So we're going to be moving through the body. So let's begin with our right hand. We all have felt our right hand in our prana scan. That initial experience of prana was in our hand. So let's connect to our right hand, feel the vibratory sensations, the tingles. And then I want you to narrow your awareness to your right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, and then broadening to feel the entire right hand, tingles, heaviness, warmth, or coolness. Then release the right hand and move to the lower arm, the elbow, the upper arm, shoulder, right side of the neck, right side of the ribs, right hip, thigh, kneecap, lower leg, ankle, and heel. Sole of the right foot, top of the foot, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. And then broadening awareness to hold the whole right side in the body, feeling the tingles, the vibrations, and sensations on the right side of the body. Then releasing the right side of the body and moving over to the left hand. Passing prana over to the left side, feeling into the left hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, back of the left hand, palm of the hand, and then expanding to feel the entire left hand all together. Lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, left side of the neck, left side of the ribs, bringing awareness to the left hip, thigh, kneecap, lower leg, ankle, and heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. And then feeling the left side of the body, feeling into the feelings and sensations on the left side of the body. Feeling the tingles of prana on the left side. And then releasing the left side and bringing awareness down to our feet. Right heel, left heel, both feet together. Back of the right knee, back of the left knee, both legs together. Right hip, left hip, the entire pelvic bowl all together. Right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade, the entire rib cage all together. Palm of the right hand, palm of the left hand, both hands together. right elbow, left elbow, both arms together, feeling into both shoulders, back of the head, crown of the head, forehead, right eye, left eye, both eyes together, right ear, left ear, both ears together. Bringing awareness into the entire head, expanding to feel into the shoulders, arms and hands, the torso, front and back, right and left, inside and outside, and then all the way down into the pelvic bowl, legs and feet. Feeling into the whole body, having practiced Yoga Nidra, connecting to prana, this energy, life force, awareness, and breath. Prana portal, this new doorway, giving us a new relationship with our daily life, with our experience, and each moment. Good. And then we'll bring this prana practice to its close. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to just share two more slides quick with you, and then we'll open up to questions. All right. So I like giving my clients home practice. So I'd like you to bring mindfulness to your daily activities and see what you notice, connecting with prana during your day. Bring mindful awareness to what you're doing while you're doing it. Feel it, see it, be with that experience of moving, washing your hands, brushing your teeth, moving through the day. Your attention will come and go. None of us are going to stay mindful perfectly. And so come back to that prana portal. Feel those vibrations and sensations. Each time we come back, we're creating more of a neural pathway to the present moment and to our practice. Notice when you get lost in thought again and come back again. Okay? So that's your home practice. And we're going to end with a quote from Randy, one of my clients from Pewaukee, Wisconsin. This is from his wife, Allison. An important aspect of their sessions was the focus on relaxation and mindfulness through movement. On many days, Randy would feel stressed or anxious, but after practicing yoga and breathing techniques, he would feel calmer, more at peace, and physically better. Tina's time and work with Randy was truly inspirational in his ALS journey. She provided him with something that traditional medicine could not, a sense of control, peace, and relief. I honestly believe that without this, his journey would have been harder. So this is for you, Randy. Okay. So thanks again for opening the doorway to this prana portal. And I'm happy to take any questions, Sherry, if you have some for me.
Yes, thank you so much, Tina. That I feel so much calmer and relaxed and present, and I'm sure that will help me through the rest of my afternoon. So thank you. Um,
Welcome.
there was one person that commented after the address exercise, mindfulness exercise, that the second time it came out much more slowly, which is what I kind of feel too. I just feel more present and slowed down right now, which feels good. So
Yeah, it's like we know what we're doing while we're doing it, and there's this peacefulness that comes from that. So it's that, that psycho-emotional kosha, just,
yeah,
with this nice, relaxed presence. Yeah,
yeah.
well, thank you.
But just a reminder to everyone, put your comments and questions in the chat while I start asking some questions. If you have any comments about, what you experienced, just let us through those. We'd love to hear those as well. So one question, Tina, is after the first exercise, you mentioned beginner's mind. Can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by that?
So mindfulness has attitudes. There's 8 attitudinals that we bring to our practice, and the biggest attitude is that of non-judgment. So mindfulness really encourages us to be with ourselves as we are in this moment. So
Mhm.
non-judgment. The other attitudinals are things like curiosity and beginner's mind, like, How could I look at this experience with fresh eyes?
Uh-huh.
Another attitude is patience. Sometimes we get a little impatient with ourselves, but the attitudinal of patience reminds us that change takes time and awareness grows, with more experience. Other attitudinals are non-striving. We're not trying to get anywhere or
Mm,
become anything in particular. The practice of mindfulness is about being with what's actually here and broadening our view.
mhm,
Okay. One of the big attitudinals that I stress with my clients is self-compassion. And that self-compassion work is so important. Like, how can I be kind to myself during this difficult time? And the more we can learn that, and our caregivers can learn that, the better we'll be at supporting each other.
so true, so true. We're so easily compassionate with others, but with ourselves, we tend to be so hard.
It's
So
an
such a
inside
great
job, right?
metaphor. Yeah. Mindfulness really is the opposite of autopilot, isn't it? It
Mhm.
reminds me too of if you can be with a young 2-year-old or something and actually look through their eyes when you're out in the world, things that we don't even see anymore, how wonderful that is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I have a comment here that says, thanks for the explanation that ALS makes autopilot less available. It's a blessing in a way and has helped me to be much more aware of simple tasks,
Mm,
tying shoes, eating food. Thanks. So
that's
that's the
lovely.
comment.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
brings me to another question of, you know, how do these practices that you do and teach your clients change as their disease progresses and they don't have the muscle control to do the physical movements the same way? How does that change and how do you lead them to still connect with prana and with that mindfulness?
Yeah, and remembering that that prana portal, that second doorway, it's a matrix of energy that's enmeshed in the physical body. And so, you know, Scott believes that as his physical body became less available, the prana portal became more. So it's that reminder to be sensing and feeling instead of doing and
Hmm.
visualizing a lot of moving energy through the body. I think that there were a lot of exercises today, especially that Yoga Nidra at the end, moving energy through each part of the body, keeping that vital energy resource connection open. And we
Hmm.
modify. I mean, each client I work with, I send them pre-session questions. What did you notice this week? What are your favorite practices? Any changes in the availability of practices? And we always modify um, as needed, And so Randy practiced the breath practices and some of the movements while he was in hospice. He felt that it was supporting him, all the way through his journey. And so with that individual focus, I can change each session to be supportive. Sometimes I work with a client, they're like, I need emotional support. So we work with prana through to support emotional regulation, whatever clients need. I need to relax. We'll do more yoga nidra.
Yeah, very cool. I know these kinds of practices really benefit all of us, no matter what our challenges might be. But you shared a few quotes from your clients and a couple of their caregivers. Can you share any more about how clients with ALS have described the difference in their lives and in their ALS journey once they started using these practices and really were able to become more mindful in, through their days and weeks and whatnot?
So I'm working with a client currently on Zoom, and she has hereditary ALS. And so she had the added burden of, trying to emotionally feel how this was affecting others in her
Hmm.
family. And every time she went into her body, she was looking at what she couldn't do. And so
Hmm.
she felt that with the practices of mindful movement and, letting the energy body move through the physical body instead of going in and saying, with fear and saying, what if I can't do this? She went in and said, oh, this feels good. I can do this. So we're really focusing, especially in the clinical study, on how working with these mindful movements and this prana portal brings improvement in their daily life. It gives us a different relationship with our body. It gives us a different relationship with our disease, with our experience of ALS. We're in relationship with it. And so, it's a completely different experience than resisting or wishing it wasn't here when we embrace it and become participatory in our experience through that doorway of mindfulness, which is the prana portal, it's the
Yeah.
doorway to the now.
Yeah. Really, really awesome. And I just appreciate this so much. I think that it's, ALS is a disease of losses. They go to clinic, they're measured in what capacity they've lost. And this feels like a way, when I think about what you said about Scott, how he said, well, that physical portal may be less available, but it has really opened this portal. So it's one way of looking for those silver linings or those blessings or the things that are strengthened throughout an ALS journey or a challenge such as that.
Yeah, that new awareness. Yeah. We're really focused on, measuring those qualitative improvements,
Mhm.
and some of them we're looking at biomarkers like HRV and CO2 levels. I mean, Ward's wife was the one that said, Ward's CO2 levels are still within the normal range, and they're really surprised. But I think it's the breath work that he does every day, and it's getting into a pattern with these practices that we can make them available and comfortable where we are. But, this is a new way to breathe through the diaphragm. It's the step breathing is a new type of breath pattern, and seeing how does it feel for me today. And then we make modifications as we go along the way. Yeah,
Yeah,
with new relationships.
wonderful. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. So once again, I want to thank Tina for just a wonderful, amazing presentation. And then I want to offer a couple reminders to those here today. You can view a recording of this webinar if you want to go be led through those practices again. It will be available on our Empowering Your ALS Journey webinar page at als.org/webinars. You can also use that page to view all of the past webinars we've hosted, as well as sign up for future ones. So I hope that you guys will join us again for our next Empowering Your ALS Journey webinar, which will be Embracing Life's Moments, Navigating Celebrations, Traditions, and Family Events during the ALS journey. And this will be on Thursday, October 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And also watch for more information coming out very soon about a special webinar series that we're planning for early November for all of our ALS caregivers. And lastly, a final reminder of the short survey that you'll receive at the end of the webinar. And your feedback is really important to us, so we appreciate you filling that out. Thank you again to everyone who's attended today, and thank you to our wonderful speaker. We hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.